Now I want to see if you guys can draw just a simple Lego like block here. So I'm going to get rid of this guy here and Lego blocks. The Lego block I'm going to make, I'm going to try to do a 2x8 Lego block, and it's going to be really small. It's going to be funny, a little peculiar trying to punch this in. I'm going to punch it in. It's going to be 0.6 comma 1.2 by my measurements I'm taking here. And remember, we had this problem before. I talked about it in a previous video. Is we make something that's way too small, we can't see it because we're zoomed out so far. I make something that's so small I can always go in here to under the last menu here, very last menu item is zoom extents. And if I hit this, then it'll take me right to this little block that I'm starting to make. Okay. And now I'm going to use the push-pull tool, and I'm going to push this up, and these are not very tall. It's 0.4 inches tall, and I know that seems like I'm typing in really small numbers, but remember, like 0.25 is, a quarter of an inch, and 0.4 is almost half an inch tall. So, it's all relative. It sounds like small numbers, but in actuality, these are, I'm coming close to the size of a Lego block that I have sitting here. Okay, so now what I really need to do is work on laying out the pegs up here on this top surface. That's going to be the difficult task, to do some things to lay this out. So let's try the line tool. Okay, and you can see it's jumping to midpoint. So like I do it if I'm making a 2x2 rows here. I know I can cut it in half long ways this way. And then I can find the halfway point between this segment and the halfway point between these two segments. And I know that my pegs now will center along this line. And now it'll just be a matter of working out how far from the edge these should be, and going from there. So I'm going to do some work here geometrically here to lay this stuff out. And I'm doing a bunch of lines here to do this, and realize all this line work, this grid I'm building on the top here is going to go away. I'm not going to keep it. So I think if I do it this way, if I build my circle in right there, centered right there, and then centered there, and centered there, and centered there, I think I'm coming close to having this proper layout. And I'm not going to do them all. I'm going to show you why I'm not going to do them all here in a second. But I'm going to put a circle here, and we're punching in the radius now, and the radius is 0.1. It's almost, I'm going to double click. I'm going to hold down the shift key. Do you see how I got the little symbol that's plus and minus next to it when I hold down the shift key? And I can add to the selection. And I'm going to use the move tool, and you're going to use the control, and then I can move this guy over to here, and then I'm going to do a little bit of magic here. I'm going to divide by 3, and that's going to place these two in the middle. I'm going to do that again so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Whoop. So I've drawn my circle in there. I'm going to use click on the space bar to get my selection tool. I'm not going to triple click, but I'm going to double click so I get the surface and the outer line. And then I'm going to hold down the shift key so I can get these other pieces. And the reason I'm doing these pieces here is because I want the center mark, so I can drag it from the center here and hit the center here. Okay? And that's the first part of what I'm doing, is I'm making a duplicate by using the move tool and holding down, you will hold down the control key on your Chromebook. And doing that operation first, and then there's a new thing that I've not done in these videos yet, which is a distribute operation. I'll explain that in a second. So the first part of this is I'm going to go to M for move, and I'm going to grab here at that center point and make a copy. You're holding down the control key, and see I can hit that center point of my target right here with this circle that I want. Okay, and so that's the first part of this. This is very important. Don't do anything yet. Don't click or don't change tools. And now all I'm going to do is just type in a /, and you can see down in the lower right corner where I'm typing in, I'm just going to type in /3, and it's going to divide by. And when you're doing the divide, it's including the one that you did. if I divide, if I, you know, I want two more in the middle, but if I only divide by 2, it's not going to do that right. I want to divide by 3 to include the one that's in the middle there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do this kind of operation again, but I can eliminate some of these lines here. I'm going to see what I'm going to do here in a second. I'm just going to keep the target on this one, but I can get rid of these lines here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my space bar. I'm going to double click on this guy, hold down the shift key, double click, double click, double click. And I'm going to grab these. Okay, and now I'm going to go M for move, and I'm going to hold down the control key to make my copy and hit this target here. And now I've got my 2 by 4 block, and I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup here. Okay, so now I've got my block started, but I got to push these up a little bit. I could have pushed one up and then did all the layout work that I just did to distribute everything. It's a little more tricky. I probably would have had a difficult time finding and placing everything on center points after I pushed it up. The height is not, doesn't seem like it's a lot. I'm going to type in 0.05 enter, and then when I push these up, I don't need to keep typing that in. I can match the height if I take I'm clicking this guy up, but I'm going to take that red arrow of my little icon and match it to the height of something else. Okay, so now I want to keep adding a little bit more detail to this. So I'm going to use the offset tool. I don't know if we've used that one yet or not. It's going to be under here. This is the offset tool, or F for offset, and I'm going to make the, you know, some Lego bricks, depending on what you're using. If you're using techniques, I've got a technique sitting here, and they've got holes in there. And so I'm going to put a little guy here, but it's supposed to be 0.3 offset, and then I can push this and push this guy back down. You can choose to do this. You don't have to. Okay, so I've got my my pegs and my brick and everything started here, and this is looking pretty nice. I do want to make a I want to put some detail here in the bottom, and I'm gonna take a little bit of a measurement to see how thick the wall should be on the bottom of this, 0.06. So now I'm going to use the F for offset, and I'm going to well, you know, we should have circles in the middle here, shouldn't we? We should have, basically, on the bottom of a Lego brick, if you've ever looked at it, there's a circle that fits this distance inside here to help grip it. I kind of need to know what the distance across this is. It's roughly 1/4 of an inch. Okay, that's easy enough. Okay, so I need to do a little geometry on the bottom here. I'm just trying to figure out now where should I be placing that first circle there, but I wonder if I can pull some geometry from the top. I'm just trying to determine where the center point is. We can do some stuff really geometrically. I'm being very meticulous about my placement of stuff. You don't have to be if you want to come close. I'm also, by the way, I'm turning on hidden lines by hitting the K key. And this is important because now I can take and put a line from here down to here. And now I know where to make the center point at for my first circle. But I guess I need to do this again on the other end here so I know where the end point is. Okay, so now I've got this, I'm going to go C for circle. I'm going to make this radius here to be 0.125, I think. And then I'm going to, just like we did up top, I'm going to double click, hold down the shift key, and add to my selection. And I'm going to use the move tool. And we're going to make a copy, and I'm going to hit that copy here, and I'm going to divide by 2. And then I can get, now that I have these, I can get rid of all this geometry. I'm going to use the offset tool here to type in, to get a distance for the wall, 0.06. And then I can push this back up. I'm going to make a mark up here though to figure out how thick I want to make it, so I can have, we can push this up, but rather than just eyeball how far up I'm going to push it, I'm going to make a mark, just kind of eyeball this about where I want to push that to. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to use the push-pull tool, push it up to that spot, and see now I can control, if I use the K, I can see I can control how deep that is, and I eyeballed it pretty good, okay, and I can take that mark back out. I'm using the offset tool here to make these hollow. There. And it's you know, pretty well detailed Lego block. Of course, this is, you know, the wrong color. Need to make it get a color. Let's make it a nice red. Here, tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, click, click on everything. Triple click to select everything, as if I'm going to make it a group. But then I'm going to use the paint tool and paint it red. Here's my Lego block. If I really wanted to, I could make it a group. Right click, make it a group. And now I can use the move tool to make duplicates. I think I can change the color of this guy. Well, I guess I got to go in and edit. These are my Lego blocks stuck together. So again, I went for a lot of detail. Let's see how much detail you can put onto your Lego block and how precise you can be.